can guide us.
Oh, well.
So, hi guys, welcome back to
Absolutely.
Library of Alexandria. Derri's going to guide us. You see me playing on my camera because I got a new camera stand. So it's not like pointed at the TV the whole time. But the problem is I'm trying not to cut my dang head off with it. Anyway, in case we forgot, because Josh read this like January, so and the rest of us, it's been at least a couple months. So Derri's going to guide us because she's read it 12 times.
Pretty much.
But we are going to talk about, we can talk non-spoilers just in general. And welcome everybody here who is going to talk with us about it. This was for the Empire trilogy read along, and this was another. I like this series also and recommend it to people.
I'm really glad.
I have that copy also, Anitha. Sorry, go ahead, Derri.
I'm just really glad that you enjoyed it in the end, because I started to get a bit frightened with the reaction I was getting in book two. So book three hopefully has brought you all back to going, actually, this is really good.
Book two is my least favorite by a lot, and it is just because it just feels, so much of it feels shoehorned to me, where it's like I've got to have this stuff line up with stuff that happened in these other books, and it just, and whether or not it was like that or not, it just felt like that to me. But book three, I loved. I tore through it, and then we reached like a section of the book where they go on a quest, and I'm like, why is this part so long? And it's like 100 and something pages, and I'm just like, why are we here? And then it gets back to where the main thrust is, and I'm like, yeah, let's go. And I tore through. I loved the end. But yeah, so this is my second favorite of it. It's just long.
Same.
Like I think I liked the tightness of book one, because it's 200 pages shorter than either one of the other two. But I did like this a lot. Like for most of it, I loved. I despised the epilogue, and the epilogue stripped an entire star away from the thing for me. That is how much I despised the epilogue. I hated it with every fiber of my being. I hated it.
I am not surprised.
Thank you. I have to rant about that part.
We have an accord on the epilogue. But I think
it was timing on that epilogue, because it had come away from that thrust of the story and been its own thing in book three. And book three, for me, has a much stronger kind of thrust to the world and what the characters are trying to achieve. And then it ends, and I'm like, that's great. And then the epilogue happens, and I was like,
well, my problem is what they had to do to make the epilogue happen. They had to shoehorn and make up some reason on why this one thing had to happen. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. And then I got to the epilogue, and I'm like, oh, I see now why we had to do that. Dumb. I hate it so much. So dumb. But other than that, I loved the going to the climax of the story and everything that happened. I'm not sure I loved it to start with. Like, I'm not sure I was gonna love it, just because I don't care about the magicians. I'm like, why are these guys important all of a sudden? And I don't know what the bee in frickin' Tanuki's bonnet was, whatever his name was, the grouchy one, the one who's always like, no, Mara,
Tapik.
Whatever his name. Like, what is his problem? No. You're telling us we can't do what we want to do. And I just don't understand why didn't they just scry on her all the time? Like, why didn't Tapik just have like a 24-hour live stream of Mara doing
it's not done. It's not the done thing.
Except that he does it. He does it.
Yes, he does do it. When other people acknowledge that it would be useful to know what is happening right now.
Yeah.
So there's a weird kind of acceptability boundary line, and when they can do it and when they can't. But I understand the frustration.
I got you. Josh, what do you think of this book overall?
I mean, very similar. It was my second favorite of the three. My favorite was the first book. I just love the kind of the Machiavellian espionage kind of things in the first book that I just really love that. I agree. The kind of quest in the middle, I liked it, but it did take too long and it did kind of bog things down a little bit. The epilogue, I mean, when we get to spoilers, I have a couple things to say, but I'll say initially I was just like, yeah. And I didn't hate it, but then the more I thought about it, the more I think about the epilogue, I have a change. Like if I could suggest a rewrite, I can make it work. But yeah, overall, it's I thought it just tonally didn't fit the rest of the series.
Yeah.
So I didn't like that side of it, but I loved how dark this book started. You know, the first chapter was jarring. Yes. And my goodness. And then you see it took Mara to a really deep, dark place. And I really enjoyed that exploration of it. And I loved that we got a lot of Arakasi in this one because he was a character I liked a lot. And I loved seeing kind of a more human side of him in this book. More, I guess, less two-dimensional. He was just a lot more fleshed out in this book. But yeah, I thought this book was fantastic. Epilogue aside, I still gave it a 5 stars.
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
Yay,
Anitha.
Okay, I think I liked it less than all of you. I like the ideas in this book, but execution is where I had problem. I'm not sure which one of them wrote this book more. There is a lot of repetition in this book, you know. They spend more time in setup rather than actual action part of it. I'm not a big fan of that actually. So I have problem with that. But overall, Cho-ja part I really liked actually. We got to spend more on them and they were actually utilized in this. That part I really liked. And as I have the same problem with the ending epilogue part, actually more than the epilogue, what led to that, because that character is a brilliant character, one of my favorite characters actually in this trilogy. But what they did with that character, I'm so disappointed. After 2 months, I'm still salty about it.
Who? Arakasi or Hokanu?
Hokanu.
Oh, yeah. We'll talk about it. Yeah.
I mean, I liked that part of the story.
I did too.
This is the book where I actually really love the bad guys. I love the Anasati storyline in this book. I love Jiro. I think he's fascinating.
Oh, Jiro.
I love Chumaka. He was brilliant. I loved that dynamic. And I liked watching the reasons why they did things, because you got that backstory for Jiro as to why he was so determined to remain traditional and why he hung on so tightly to grudges. And I liked knowing that. And I really liked discovering that Chumaka just liked the game. He just wanted to win. And I loved that. And that is my favorite part of the third book.
I will say I like Jiro and Chumaka the best of the adversaries. And so if y'all haven't read this book, y'all might as well just like clear out, because we're just going to talk about it now. I don't know why you'd be here if you hadn't read the book. It's literally the third book.
Or you could stay and not have to read the book. I mean, but I would recommend that you do.
Like, first of all, the opening chapter where her freaking kid is just like axed in the opening chapter, like that's ballsy. Like,
and it's not a calm death either. It's brutal.
Oh, I know. Like we don't have enough. We don't have enough authors like go for that anymore. Like opening chapter. Are you kidding? That was awesome.
And it's a shocker. There was no foreshadowing. It just came out of the blue. I was so shocked.
The only foreshadowing is that the chapter is called Tragedy. Like
that's right. Like, and even then, you assume it's going to be something directly at Mara.
Oh, yeah, you don't assume it's going to be her.
Yeah, the death of a kid. Yeah,
the death of a child, and a nasty death of a child.
Oh,
you know, you're like,
yeah,
okay.
To Anita's point, the thing about repetition is like I didn't like Arakasi being gelded. Like I liked Arakasi being awesome, and then as soon as he deals with the tang or the tong or whatever it is, he's got that. Like, all of a sudden, the woman, he's like, "Well, I can't do this anymore," because I'm like, Arakasi, you suck now. Like get like you. What is your problem? And he kept being like, "Oh, well, I'm just not going to be as good." It's like, shut up and do your job, please. Like,
Yeah.
can you just do your job and quit whining? Please stop whining about this woman.
But he does just keep going and do his job.
Thank
And
goodness.
the fact that he's caught up about this woman saves him on one occasion.
Oh, I know, but
So,
we got to listen
you know,
to him moat for
See,
pages on
not-
end.
From the moment she entered the storyline, not just Arkasi, everyone else, even Lujan and who is that lady? Mara, in the
Love
middle of the
Lujan.
battle scene, they were talking to, okay, talk to him, try to
Yeah,
understand.
we'll just let you have the feelings.
Okay, hang on. Like, I will say, like, I've just got to address the elephant so me and Anitha can get over it so we can end up talking about all the stuff we like. The ending of this book, like after the book was over,
Yes.
ending, like I actually teared up when she awards Lujan his own
Oh,
like
that was so
his
beautiful.
own house and
House.
like
Mm.
all of the rewards that she does at the end, like it was so moving. And then she divorces Hikanu, and I'm like, why? And she's like, well, I have to. So
She
that
does
you
have
can.
to.
No, she does
No,
not.
she doesn't.
Yes, she does.
does
No,
not.
she doesn't. Okay,
She does.
Alan,
why
you want
she
to
has
take
to.
this?
Derri,
And the
Derri,
country
here's why
is
she has
totally
to.
unstable. She
She
can't have
has
the
to,
Shinzawe
so
at
that
war with
Kevin can
himself.
come in at the end. That's
No,
why
she has to divorce Hikanu.
No, see,
The only
what-
reason Kevin gets brought back is because now she's not with Hikanu, and she
No.
has to have some kind
You
of
have
happy
the order of that reversed, Derri. You have the order
No,
so far
Hikanu,
reversed.
that had to be.
Yes, sir,
Okay.
this is part of Riftward world, but a separate empire.
Yeah.
Okay,
No,
see,
no, they had to divorce her so that Kevin could come back.
That,
It does not make any
No,
sense to me.
no,
The reason
that
she
is
gets
my
the job-
headcanon.
Okay,
Because
that's fine.
otherwise I am not okay with it.
Okay, that's fine. I was so mad.
It makes
I
sense
did
to
not-
me.
All right, Anitha, go ahead.
No.
okay, see, okay, one thing is like, I hate that Kevin came back. I hate that ending that is
I also
there.
hate
But
it so
more
much.
than that, what I hated was Hokanu was the symbol for change in this more than Mara. Actually, Mara
Right.
had Kevin's influence, because of that she changed, but Hokanu by birth, by family, he was always progressive. Actually, he is for
Yes.
change. He brought that change. Actually, he helped a lot, to bring that change to this empire. It's so sad that at the end he has to submit for the duty, and he had to get stuck in an unhappy marriage. That's not okay.
I think for me,
For
why
a
it works,
character,
for, I
for
think
a-
why it
I'm
works
not
for
done.
me
Please,
is
please,
the
please.
other nobles see the tragedy, and it bolsters. I'm going to defend it. I'm going to.
I like it
even
too.
even at the final scene, when they realize that when Kevin and Mara, how to tell it, when they realize that that new emperor looks like the Kevin, all these new
Everyone
lords, young
recognizes,
lords,
yeah.
who are in for change, they were all happy.
Yeah.
Even then Mara is like, okay, finally my empire is embracing the change, and she's happy. But even, I mean, I hated the fact that Hokanu had to sacrifice. He was the one who, it was like, he's such a brilliant character, but he was just there
I loved her.
to give Mara everything. He did not get anything in their relationship. He gave her an heir to her Akoma family. He helped her through this troubling time, and that's it. He did not get anything out of that marriage.
Which is why the priest said to him, "You need to get out of this marriage. You are giving it too much. This cannot end well for you. You have to consider the duty that you
Josh, you
have
like
to
it
your
too.
family."
You should. What is your defense of this travesty committed against this character assassination of Hikanu?
Actually, Hokano, I'm fine with it. I think it was great. I think it was a great ending because it just continued to show how selfless he was with her, with Mara, that is. And
Yes.
I love that. I
That's so
thought
sad.
I thought it reinforced what an awesome character he is.
And that's
But
why I
also
say
showed that,
at
that Mara
point,
did
the
this.
book should
Mara
have
did this
ended.
for him too, though. So
Yes, for his family.
I don't know. I liked it. I mean, I can't say I liked it, but I respected it a lot, and I thought
Yes.
it made
See,
I thought it made
with
in-world
Mara-
sense, even if
Yep.
they didn't really want this to happen. I mean, the epilogue obviously casts a shadow on all of it, but
I could
I
have
don't know.
done
I
without
liked
it.
I liked the ending of the Hokano story,
Mm.
honestly.
For me, it was like that
if
was
there
the
is
ending
no-
to appease the older lords. That look, tradition is still really important, and we've got to have these bloodlines and heirs and all of that. That's all very important, and we are going to sacrifice to maintain that status quo. Because while, as Anitha says, the younger generation is all fabulous and wonderful, and we're all about freedom and all these great laws, that's the younger generation, and they still have to live out the time of the lords who are really not going to be okay with these changes and who are going to be fighting it tooth and nail. It's not like they all just went, oh, okay, Jiro's dead, we all have to now change our beliefs. They're not going to do that. And they're still the political force in the empire. They're still in charge of the market forces as far as the economy is concerned. It's going to impact everybody. So the way that Mara and Hokanu had to take that into account and have it impact them personally is known at that level of nobility, that neither of them wanted this, but that honor and the tradition was overridingly important over their personal preference, where the younger generation would have gone, no, you should stay married, you love each other, it's all very happy, lovely, wonderful. And I think that's how I've reconciled it in my head anyway.
I
'Cause,
understand
yeah,
what you're saying, and I would have been more forgiving if Kevin is not back.
that's
But
why I
bringing
said if
Kevin
it had
back,
ended before the
giving
epilogue,
giving
that would have been
happy ending to Mara, but Hokano is the only one who had to sacrifice. It looked like that, and I'm not at all okay with that.
no, I agree with that. That's why I'm like,
I would have been slightly
without
better.
the epilogue, I'm fine.
Well, we're not gonna find common ground.
No.
Talk about the stuff that was good though. Again, like making Lujan a landed samurai, like
And
where
the Akoma lands.
yeah.
Yeah.
Before
That was awesome.
Yeah, it was so good. Like, and he was just stunned. Like he was just had no idea what to do.
I was so
good.
happy for
Possibly
him. He
could be
deserves
looked at
that,
as the
actually,
hero
after
of the
everything.
beast.
I agree. I love Lujan.
If he hadn't at the very last second decided not to go through with this death to, combat to the death, they both would have been killed. Nothing would have been achieved. It all came down to Lujan's decision, and that's what proved the change within the culture.
When he
And
said that
he's
tradition is nothing but a habit, I was like, oh my god, I love that character.
Wonderful, man.
Such a perfect character.
Yeah.
The plot just like this, it's dizzying how much happens in this book, because the whole I'm gonna get back with the first of all, like I can't buy that Mara like believes that the Erakasi, that freaking Jiro killed his nephew. I can buy that. Yeah, I can buy that she's just aggrieved and someone has to pay or whatever. And then they go to war in like chapter 5, and what's his name? Tepek? Is that his name?
Yep.
He just like incinerates that one
and keeps them alive until they can't cohesively
what
be a
pisses me
person
off
anymore.
about the wizards, though, is that they say that they don't actually mean no one can act, because they let the freaking Anasati and its minions do whatever they want.
Yeah.
So it's just trash. You let these people not listen to you. You just don't want Mara to do anything. I don't like it.
Mara is bringing the change in the empire. That's why they have
that's the challenge
against her. So they don't like whatever she does. So they were so partial to Zero, like forgiving of Zero. Like Zero can do anything. Even at the end, Tapek was like, yes, Zero did wrong, but yes, Hokanu was the one who killed him. But Mara is the reason Hokanu killed him. So I will kill Mara. So he was totally hate, Mara, and that they were against law, like outside of law is such a bullshit thing. And I like the fact that at the end Mara was like, no one can be outside the law, you have to follow the
even
law.
you.
I love that.
Yeah,
but
I think with the magicians, and we see it a couple of times, is that indoctrination during their training that they can only act in defense of the Empire. And the fact that all of them get it into their heads that Mara is a threat to the Empire, to everything the Empire stands for, to all of the things that make the Empire something the magicians can control, is why, as a body, the magicians are just so anti-Mara, because she is a threat to everything they stand for. And it's indoctrinated into them on such a level they kind of can't fight that. And for Jiro to be the front person for the traditionalist faction, I think kind of almost subconsciously says to them, this guy's the guy we have to support. He's fighting for us.
Yeah, I think it's just typical people in power who want the people with the more, traditional outlooks to make sure that they stay in power. And you see her early on. I was kind of surprised early on when I realized that she was going after the Great Ones, and that was going to be her goal. I honestly didn't see that coming, and I didn't read the back flap or anything like that, because I don't do that anymore because of those, Derri, the books right behind you. The Hobb books, they give you 2/3 of the book on the back flap. But yeah, I don't read those anymore, so I didn't know this was going to be about that. So it was very I love we talked about the first chapter already, but I loved how it kind of revealed that, oh, she's going after the Great Ones. Okay, this is going to be different. And then that act actually made me think a lot more about the second book and how much she really, whatever you say about Kevin, the redheaded barbarian, whatever you say about him is, she did develop a lot more progressive thought because of her interactions with him. And that did help her kind of grow to the point where she starts to do a lot of the things she does in this book. So, I love that clash with the Great Ones, especially initially when I said, okay, well, how's this going to work? I don't see how this can't end badly.
Like really badly. This is not going to go well.
I can imagine if you had read any of the Rift War books where you've seen the magicians, like in any context beyond like these books, because I know you see them like from Pug's books, right? Like, don't you, like, doesn't he train
They're
with
in them a little bit.
Yeah.
The training is very isolated. So even in those chapters of the other side of the rift, you're really only getting it with Pug. There aren't very many scenes with other magicians. So you really don't get that much more in the rift side of it. I think between the two, you get a better insight, obviously, just because you've got the sheer volume of little bits of information.
Yeah.
But there's nothing significant in terms of.
I'm glad that Anitha, I was about to ask him, like, what happens to Jiro? And then Anitha reminded me, Hokanu wrecking Jiro was
my favorite scene.
It was so good.
Like, it really was, wasn't it?
There are so many good
visceral
in this book. Like, oh yeah, him going after Jiro and Jiro realizing, like, I am a sucky warrior. Like,
yeah, I'm
all of my subterfuge has failed. I am not going to win this. I need to run. And he's just caught, and Hokanu is just then he choked him with his
he did. It just strangled him. And it was glorious. It was just
favorite scene
brutal
in
barbaric.
It reminded me of that Gandalf scene from Lord of the Rings. Actually, Gandalf comes and that he saves everyone during Helm's Deep War. I think.
Yes.
It reminded, because I was wondering how Jiro, if Jiro reaches the palace, he'll kill Mara's son. I mean, how Hokanu is going to reach? I was like, how then Hokanu will come, by horse. I was like, my favorite.
And the horses, and you're like, oh, it's very exciting. But then, of course, you have the secret stash of X-Men Wanabe soldiers that Chewbacca's had stashed away, chasing her. And you get that moment where she realizes just how horrific it is to have men in her own army's colors chasing her. And now, even I, this time around, again, was thinking, that's actually really creepy. Like, it makes my skin crawl. The idea of someone who literally looks like everybody else who's on your side trying to kill you.
You know, that is the reason
Horrifying.
I did not like Mara accepting Chumaka in her team, because he planned that he's the reason for Sarik's death. I wouldn't be able to forgive him for that, actually.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, get out of here, man. Like,
See, I could, because of the way her relationship with Arakasi works. When Arakasi says, "I would trust my people to this guy's only aim is to be the best at what he does. And if he's on your side, you're going to get the benefit of that."
But I think we already had the pattern. We had that pattern of Mara from the first book, just forgiving, and so I mean, it didn't surprise me really.
Yeah.
I mean,
I love it. You may all. Oh, sorry, I was going to say, you may all remember there was a tag that went round about a year or so ago about creating your party, and I had Chumaka down as my advisor / spy person, because that guy just knew. He was like, this is how you manipulate people, this is how you get the information, and that was his drive. He just wanted to be that guy with fingers in all the pies. And if you want anybody on your side, it's that guy. Because you don't want him fighting against you.
See, with all due respect, even though Chumako is on their side, every one of them was dead. Zero, his brothers, his father, everyone.
Yeah.
But
that was Jiro's fault. Chumako didn't send all of the relatives into nunneries and to get rid of any relatives. Jiro did that.
About his life, Anitha. He's just an old guy. Just let him play the game till he dies.
He was good at it.
Okay.
So what did y'all think about the whole thing with it is forbidden and the
Cho-ja?
I mean, do we get more details of the Cho-ja in Rift War other books? Because because they were talking so much about, okay, it is forbidden, it is there in the treaty. I was like, I wanted that background information. At the same time, I thought we'll get that information at the end scene. But after all that, entire one of the tribes, Cho-ja tribes, were destroyed because of the magicians. By the way, brilliant planning by Mara. But at the end, there was only one sentence that Cho-ja, what is that? They'll be like involved in the society or something like that. They can do magic or something. Only one sentence. It wasn't explored much. That was my gripe, actually. I wanted more details of that.
Yeah, but making those wizards attack the Cho-ja was awesome.
And the queens knew it, but they couldn't admit it, and they couldn't say anything. And having learned in the Cho-ja capital that lying is a form of insanity among them, and would literally make them all go mental and devolve them into just nothing, basically, kind of gives sense for me for how they were able to enforce this pact. You had this species living in the lands, and they would continue to abide by whatever treaty had been current. But of course, humanity lies and finds ways through and around, and they would be betrayed again and again and again. And eventually they've kind of just gone, oh, look, okay, fine. Those of us who live here are within these rules, and we can't provide magicians, and we can't talk about any knowledge of magic, and we can't in any way ask for help outside of it, more as a defense against their own insanity. So
I loved the build up. It was so suspenseful, trying to figure out what was going on with them. And then when you learn all that, I mean, there's so much, it's so layered, and I thought so subtly drawn. And it wasn't at all what I was thinking was going on, which just like anytime I'm reading like a suspense novel or a mystery, you try to figure out and try to guess.
Figure the twist.
Like I was so way off with what was going on with the Cho-ja. So yeah, that was another thing I thought just went really, this book in general just went some really interesting places that I didn't suspect it would go from the very start.
And there's the colonization theme again of this incoming culture that's going to destroy the established existing culture. And you see that with the Cho-ja. They pre-existed humanity, and those that had to share space had to give away such enormous parts of their culture just to coexist. And I absolutely loved the moment where the pact was broken and the magicians showed us glimpses of people mid-battle with Cho-ja going, okay, yeah, we're out. See ya. And they go, but you can't leave. You're sworn to my house. And they're like, yeah, we've given you your money back. See ya. I loved that so very much. It was so sweet to see that. It was just glorious. And we saw so many other I mean, yes, it was drawn out and could have moved much faster, but when they left the boundaries of Tsurani and were into the Turo lands and beyond, and they met other human cultures who despised them. They were like, you think you're cultured and you think you're all that, but you guys suck. You guys are awful. And they have to face that.
I loved even in those that, and I'm sure it was Jenny Wirtz, just how the female characters kind of recognized the strength in each other. And they noticed how strong Mara was. I forget the character who noticed that, but I liked that connection because it was kind of the way they got out of the situation, but
when she refused to give over
during Quest, female characters are who helped her actually.
Yes, it was the head women of the tribes and the wise women who, again, you guys suck because we know your magicians are killing female magicians. Mara had no clue until that. No clue at all. Erak had no clue. He hadn't discovered it.
Okay, when they reveal that, like, I thought we already knew that. I don't know why, but when they revealed it, like, I wasn't like, I think I just heard, because they do say that women aren't magicians. Like, they do say that.
They mentioned there are no women magicians.
Yeah.
But it never occurred to me that they killed them.
I don't know why when they said it, I was like, oh, didn't we find that out?
I did not think of the possibility at all, as Alan said, actually. Though they say that there are no female magicians, I did not consider that they are killing female, who have power. That was such a revelation. I was like,
they're kidnapping these girls with power. It's not just that they're not training them.
Actually.
Yeah. I thought everybody knew it. So I was like, well, how are you going to, like, how is this going to do anything, Mara? Like, everyone already knows that. But apparently everyone didn't. That was my fault.
And you see that growth in Mara when she just goes no when she's offered, look, we'll help you and do everything with you and no worries if we get Cam Leo, and it just without even really thinking about it, she turns them down. That more than anything proving her growth, but the shock that it gives Cam Leo. She fully expected to be handed over as chattel. That was the interesting part of the story for me, because it showed how, as an author, they've understood how ingrained these behaviors are in people, that even when somebody is doing something outrageously good for you, you can't believe, you just like, no, that's not how this works. You should have given me to these people.
Well,
I love Mara for that.
What's hardcore is Mara telling the wizards, hey, so this is how it's going to work. Here's your choices.
Yeah. You get to do it.
Yeah, you're either going to like rule yourselves and, be part of the world or whatever, or what's the other option? Like, we're just going to kill all of you and we're like,
well, you can kill me now. No, that's right. At that point, the god of death had refused to take her. She goes, but I can still choose, and I can kill myself right now. And I'm gone. You guys can all deal with this yourselves. But that means you have to rule.
Correct. Yes.
Because without me, everybody's going to be against you, because now they know they can beat you.
Yeah. They're like, yeah, we don't want to. No, we don't want to do any work. Like,
they're like,
we just want the perks. We don't want the responsibility. So I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
In this book, be it the revelation of them killing female magicians, or topic, or the end scene where they were literally yelling at Mara without any logic. I hated magicians. I was like,
Oh.
in Rift War books, are these people protagonists? I wouldn't like that. I mean, are they protagonists in Rift War books, magicians?
No, just Pug, and he's only with them for a brief time.
Short time.
So yeah.
Oh my god, I was like, these are horrible people. They, even at the end scene, Mara was doing so much. In their arguments, there was just no logic. They were just yelling, you cannot change, you cannot bring change. Just
Doing anything. Well, they're doing anything they can to hold on to their power. So
That's right.
Yeah.
Their status quo was the most important thing.
Yeah.
And they've never been challenged. They've never had to argue the value of their right with anybody. So they're not like prepared. They didn't know they were about to come up against two incredibly powerful Cho-ja magicians who were potentially capable of killing all of them outright. So they're all on the back foot going, but we're allowed.
Jennifer says we get more Cho-ja in Silverthorn.
Oh.
One of the last two books, I mean, you get them in the battles, but you don't get like explanation, I don't think. I don't remember that.
I don't think we even get a named Cho-ja in any of the Rift War books.
Gotcha. One thing I like about these books, and that I will say in Wirtz's in praise of Wirtz, and so much happened in these books that I wasn't able to predict, like I wasn't able to call, which I really like. Like even like stuff that happened, I was like, oh crap, we're gonna go there. All right. Even stuff I didn't like, I'm like, oh, all right, well, guess that's that. So they both of them kept me back on my heels a lot, not knowing how. Like I was like, Mara's not gonna die, so we're gonna get out of this, but I have no idea.
No idea how.
No idea how we're going to. And then in the third book, I didn't know she was gonna live to the end of the third book. Like in the first two, but you don't know.
Yeah, that's right.
So
see, even when Mara is giving them orders like Lujan to go there and Kaioke and other guys in Como separate ways, I was like, okay, Lujan and army will be attacked by magicians, and those ex-Minunabi people will attack Kaioke. So Mara and whoever is with Mara is safe. Even then, they surprised me actually.
That's always such a heartbreaking section for me to read, because of having rereads is awful because you know what's coming. And it still breaks my heart every time because I'm like, no, because all of them get taken out. And when we had to lose Kaioke, I'm never okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely, I mean, they know that they will die, but they were just,
they were going to do it anyway.
Wasting his time by, angering him.
Pouring it out. Yeah.
That was, oh my God. It takes a lot of courage.
Yes. And I liked that even though Kaioke died horribly, he also didn't die as gruesomely as the magician wanted. He was old and his heart gave out. So he wasn't tormented into death. He was just like, ha, tricked you. And took that kind of emotion with him as his last breath. And I liked that was how Kaioke got to end. But it still makes me sad.
Yeah, poor Kaioke.
Great character.
Yeah, great character. Kaioke's awesome. Erakasi's awesome. Erakasi's awesome.
Luzan is awesome. Hokano, Kaioke, Luzan.
That's the freaking name.
I'm not a big fan of Erakasi in this book. I'm sorry.
I love Erakasi.
Same. I do too. I like seeing him as, I don't know, just more three-dimensional.
With no clue as to what to do, because we're shown him so capable. And
Yeah.
just him suddenly
I
being this
liked him,
awkward
Kate.
guy.
I'm with Anitha. I liked him two-dimensional, just being like the guy that gets stuff done. I don't need him. I don't need him questioning his ability to do it. I just need him to do it.
See,
Like,
okay, it's okay if he finds love, but his intelligence should not go down. The focus is entirely shifted.
I don't
His
think
thought
you've ever
process
met,
is
I don't think you've ever met a dude who liked a girl, Anitha, because that's what happens. Like, seriously,
We lose our minds. Yeah.
like that part was fine.
I liked that. I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah,
maybe
that-
you have
this
a
was it.
point.
Because
Anitha-
he never felt it. He behaved very adolescent.
I see.
and
That's-
that
that's-
worked for me.
That's a great take there, Derri, because that's true. Because he was so Alan. I think you said in the Discord at one point you thought of him as asexual, basically.
yeah.
Like he
And
hadn't
then
hit
here,
puberty.
so that's a great description because it is the first time that he's like having feelings for someone. So he
Yeah.
is acting quite immaturely, like an adolescent.
Like
That's
he
a
honestly
great
has
take.
no clue what he's doing. And
Yes.
you can almost feel his embarrassment and things. And he just always struck me as that behavior as being very
I mean,
adolescent.
I get it. But one, I don't need to hear him think it all the time. And two,
Thank you.
and two, I understand it, but I didn't like it. I'm like, can you just go back to being like the embodiment of competence, please? Because
Okay.
we don't need any of this right now.
No. But even with all of this going on, can we talk about how he infiltrated the Tong's headquarters?
I mean, Anitha hated it.
See,
What?
I like the idea. I like
You
the
want
idea.
Erak to be competent, and when he is, you don't
Yes.
like it?
Yes, I like the idea. It was such a cool scene, but he screwed it up by explaining again and again how difficult it is to infiltrate Obajan's compound. How difficult only Arakasi can do it. How difficult it is only he can do it. How difficult it is again and again. By the time it's done, I was so frustrated. I was like, "Oh my god, get to it, man!"
I am glad. Like, it didn't bother me the way it bothered me. I was going to be so ticked if he died because he's like, oh, this looks like that girl I like. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I refuse to believe that you have infiltrated you pulled some Now You See Me crap that's impossible to get into. Ocean's 11, only it's just one. And then you screw it up because some girl looks like the girl you like. That's so dumb. That's so dumb, Erakasi. What are you doing? But it didn't. I mean, he got away and it was fine.
Yeah,
but
he did.
I was just like, I was gonna be so mad if it botched it. I was gonna be like, no, I cannot accept this. But he got it. It was fine. Like, I love that. I love that it took the entire Tong out of play because their list was published or whatever. Could threaten to be published. So yeah, everything just kept changing. Like, you think it's these bad guys, and then it's like, oh, hey, there's another plot, and then oh wait, what about this? So yeah,
Love it.
I like it too.
because they were all established really cleverly and as
Impossible Thorn.
really dangerous enemies, and could have been the only enemy of a book and been substantial. And she had three. You had the magicians, you had the Tong, and you had the Amasati, and all together, some of their plots worked in parallel, some of them worked against each other, but all of them were impacting Mara at the same time. And I loved it. It was great because at some point Schumacher figures it out that the Tong are working for themselves. And you almost see him be gleeful about it, like, oh, we don't even have to pay them, and they're going to do it for us.
Yeah.
I
like
just
it.
loved that.
But I think he did pay for.
They paid to kill Hikanu's father.
No. They did pay for Mara's.
They did pay for an
kid.
attempt early, but
Her
it wasn't anything.
No,
close.
Not the successful one.
Her baby who wasn't born died in her tummy. She was poisoned. I think they
Yes,
did. pay
no,
for
that poisoning
Oh,
was the
that one.
Tong. That poisoning
that
was
was
the
the Tong.
Tong.
That was the Tong. They didn't pay for it.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. But at the end scene, Mara was like, when she was taking over Chumaka, she was like, she was finding the strength to forgive Chumaka for killing her child.
That was Erak. That was I can't think of his name. Her first son, because that attempt.
That's what I thought. She clearly mentioned the baby in her tummy.
No, that was.
That's why I was. I was like, okay, I thought maybe.
Whatever. The fact that she's poisoned by chocolate milk.
It was kind of cool. It was a bit badass.
Yeah, right.
That was so stupid, actually. Why
Yeah, it
did
really
she
was.
have to
Yeah.
taste when she was pregnant?
Yeah, I
Literally
didn't love that.
Well, Erak, so someone was there that is like, this is dumb. What are you doing? Why are you doing this? And she's like, no, I got it. I did not understand why.
Jikan was there. He tasted
Yeah,
it, but he did not drink much, I
Oh,
think.
that's
No,
right.
because it burnt him. He was too fast, and the taste the food taster drank all of theirs, but of course it was a slow acting poison, and he died later in a nap. So
Still, why would you? I don't know why.
it's not wise.
I don't understand why you would do that. At any rate, what else? What other part of this have we not discussed?
Hey, we haven't really talked. We haven't really talked about the epilogue.
I have a question before moving on to epilogue. When they found that book, account book of Tong, they found that Jiro gave them money to kill his clan chief.
Yes.
They did not reveal that. It would have been helpful for them at the end, actually, when Zero is gathering army and all. But Arakasi and Mara did not utilize that information.
No, because at that point they didn't need to. The Tong had disbanded, and knowing that they had the Tong records would have caused more problems if everyone had known it, because then everyone would want to know who'd paid for whose death, and would have more chaos in the empire as houses tried to kill each other over previous assassination attempts.
That makes
so
sense.
it was literally just holding that information over the Tong is what made the Tong disband. So
Sal, I'm glad you agree with this. All right,
Yeah.
you go ahead and start, Josh. Talk about the epilogue.
So yeah, I don't think anybody likes it. Even first read, I didn't hate it the first read, but then the more I thought about it, the more I hated it. The thing that I hated is the whole series is pretty dark, and Mara goes through all of this, and it was just such a tonal shift. Like, oh, we're gonna put a nice little cherry on top of this really dark tale and make it really happy at the end. It rang really false for me. My improvement of it is if you insist upon having Kevin in the epilogue, have him come back and tell her that, he's married and he has a couple kids over on the Rift, and then he leaves her,
That is what I thought we were gonna get.
Yeah, that I would have been. I still don't think you needed him here. I liked how they ended his story in Servant. Just like him kicking and screaming and then pulling him away, and her doing her thing, even though she loved him or whatever. I love that end for that character. So I didn't need to see him at all. But if we did see him, I didn't want this nice happy ending. Maybe he sees his son and feels something, but he has a family back on, Yeah. So
what surprised me was there is trade going on between that side of Rift and this empire. Kevin didn't even try to, find information. He doesn't know that Mara is the mistress. I mean, he has doubts that only that woman, Mara, is the one who can reach that position. But he did not know about his son. He did not know anything. He did not try, actually.
Yeah. Having had such a "don't send me away" reaction in Servant, to not have tried to make himself felt. But
it was very convenient. After leaving, yes, he was very upset when he was leaving. Then he did not try. Now, since he is here, he's happy being back with Mara.
Yeah.
It's not like he did not put any effort. Does it make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
I was on a stream and someone told me that epilogue was a later addition to the book, and I believed them because I wanted to, and I have no proof.
I'm going to believe that now too.
I have no proof. I have no proof of that, other than one person on a stream said that ending was added later, and I'm like,
I'm going to go with that. I like it. Yep, that works.
Because I can be okay. Like, I still don't like her divorcing Hikanu, but like, I was mad. But again, the rest of the end was so good. But then when I saw Kevin, I'm like, well, I refuse to believe that this was for any other reason than to do what you just did. Like, I don't believe the reason that we got divorced now, other than, oh, she needs to be single so stupid Mara can come on. Did y'all also know that in February 22, 6 studios acquired the rights to develop the first 6 novels of Rift War, including the Empire trilogy for TV?
I did. And that was when I can't remember where I mentioned it, but it might have been Jimmy's Discord, basically going, I wish they'd stop trying to adapt these books, because you always get it wrong. Somehow the story that you've bought is never the story that you tell. Why are you doing this, studios? Stop it.
I mean, if the adaptation for Shogun is good, like, it proves that they can do a Japanese inspired
well, that's true
thing. I mean, we'll have to see.
But yeah, the recent history of fantasy adaptations doesn't give me much hope.
I mean,
I want, from the epilogue, I was like, if we have to have Kevin, somehow he has to be stuck on the other planet so that they can't come face to face again. She has to stay where she is because she's mistress of the Empire. She's too important. I don't know. He's the head of the Rift liaison people or something. I don't know. And they can only write letters or something. That I could have dealt with.
Yeah.
Because there's an element of tragedy to it that matches. And I was like, yeah, okay, I could have dealt with that. But the happy ending? No. Just no.
Yeah,
no.
It was the best.
You know, when Mara started going on quest, I thought she will go the other side of Rift, and that's where she would meet Kevin. I wouldn't have minded that, because at least that will be organic in the story.
Yeah.
It's not like patched on. You know, one of the Goodreads reviews said that it started dark, you know, obviously her son's death, and then by the end it became some romance novel.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, not great.
Yeah,
not great.
just bad tonal shift.
So I mean, and I know I've mentioned it in the previous 2 streams with the other 2 books, as was Mara's fate, and obviously as we come to the conclusion of this book, we get the importance of the churches in the world and how all of these gods and goddesses have kind of gotten, this is our moment. The people are now on this wavelength. We can come back into prominence. Did that sit well? Did that come across well? Because I'm so embedded in that knowledge of her faith and how that goes through the story. Did that sort of come across in the first read? Or
I like the fact that the god of death or whatever was like, oh no, she's in our temple. She's gonna be here for a while. Like, you guys like,
yeah, we're not taking it.
And they're like, no, she's not. Like, we're gonna go look. It's like, I wouldn't if I were you, since I'm the priest of the god of death.
Oh,
so
yes.
I probably wouldn't. And they're just like,
badass scene. That magician's expressions after that scene is hilarious, actually.
I love it. And they're like, she's been in there a long time. And I just love it when they know something's up. They know, I don't know why they didn't scry for her. Like, at that point, like, I don't know why they didn't just use the scrying. But I like that they knew something was up, and they're just like, they can't get ahead of her. Like, not even Chumaka could, be like,
we'll see.
Yeah.
You know that these priests of temple hate that sublime power of magicians is something new that wasn't explained as part of world building of this trilogy. At least that is something new. I was like, oh, that's new information.
No, it was a sort of an unspoken thing that you only really got when you saw the lesser path magician, and you saw that way the priests were saying they don't really have the power that they used to over people, and it was just a very gentle little sort of thing in the background, that until that conclusion, the coronation of Justin, where you saw all the priests and priestesses come out in full force and full support going, yes, now we get our power back. And
I really wish it was explored more, actually. I mean, these books are like 600, 700 books. There is a lot to explore, but it wasn't.
No.
Well, it's because we spent a whole lot of time exploring Erak Kosti's feelings for whatever her name was.
Camilio.
And we all spent a whole lot of time looking at the freaking desert of her trudging along, meeting some rando barbarians, and then I don't know, whatever all that was.
You know that when the quest actually started, when quest actually What is that?
Are you okay?
Noise from upstairs. When actually the quest started, I was excited, but once it started, okay, go and meet this person. Oh, okay, now you're test pass, go and meet this person. Now test pass, go and meet that person. I was so bored. I did not like it, but by the end, actually, okay, it was at least it got better with Lujan's battle and all.
Yeah. Jenny Wirtz is a team player here. Chibi Poe.
I agree. Yeah.
By not selling out Feist and being like, yeah, the bad parts were him. I didn't want him there. I promise. Like,
there's so many really conflicting accounts as to who wrote what in this trilogy, all from Jenny, and it depends on her audience as to what she will say. So
she did say I was actually DMing her earlier about something else, and she did say it was a 50-50 collaboration.
Because I asked her about it on a live stream she did with Steve Talks Books, where she said she was given the points and she just wrote it.
Yeah,
and there have been others that are like this. We've seen each other's chapters, and
I've seen a lot with Feist though, like continually praising her and her contributions, and even in I want to say one of the acknowledgments of the original Rift War. Before they had the collaboration, he mentioned her about how she helped him understand, the culture and everything. So, and I feel that this is definitely a cut above the Rift War trilogy. I mean, without a doubt.
Oh, yeah.
And even though I love that trilogy, I really enjoy that trilogy, but this is much.
That's far more tropey.
Much better.
It's far more predictable. And it's
structure. I guess in my mind, it's like I see that Wirtz contributed so much and really made this better. I think she probably also made Feist better just because they were collaborating. So I guess the Wirtz, like the epilogue, I think it's very easy for those of us that maybe think, at least how my personal reasoning is going, it's easy to blame it on him rather than her.
I do. I blame it on him.
Yeah.
Look, I've tried to read Magician Apprentice twice and have failed. I read Daughter of the Empire first try. So just letting you know, though, again.
And that's exactly it. It's like, well, one is seemingly obvious, better than the other, and the difference is the additional author. So,
I haven't read Feist, and no offense to him or other male authors, but I don't see Hokano being written by a man, actually.
What is this, Anitha?
Actually, no, I agree with that.
Men over here
do agree with that.
What, men can't write devoted and loyal husbands?
It's
what
not
would they know about that?
It's not
he
just
wasn't a husband until quite late in the series.
Look at this. Look at this.
It's not just being devoted and loyal. He's such a progressive man,
Christina, I'm not a devoted or loyal husband. I'm letting you know that.
No, but I get what you're saying. I do. And it could just be that at the time that was part of the way people wrote. It was really unusual at the time for a male character to be written who had so much compassion and had so much ability to see beyond themselves. So I get that. I do get that. And I absolutely believe that he was a Jenny Wirtz creation. Absolutely.
So.
And he's my.
You love him too.
Go ahead, Ellen.
No, I was wrapping up. He's your what? He's your boo?
No, I don't talk like that. He's my favorite character, actually. Who is your favorite character?
That's a good question. Who's your favorite character, Josh, in the whole series?
Mara.
That's a good answer. What about you, Derri?
Chewbacca.
I like Chewbacca. I really
like Chewbacca.
I thought you would say Kevin.
Oh my gosh, thank goodness. I'm going with Lujan.
Yay!
I like Lujan.
Lujan is
I can live with that too. Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, I'm okay with all those decisions. I like all those people. So
yeah.
Mara's great. I love Chewbacca.
He was great.
I got his name, but I like Hokanu. But yeah. So, Josh, how would you recommend this series to people? How would you pitch this series to people who haven't read it, but who should read it?
I would say that this is a series that, I mean, it's written in kind of a classic style, but it doesn't have the tropes.
Yeah.
And it's almost anti-1980s fantasy in many ways, even though that's when it's written, because you get a strong female protagonist. You get, I mean, none of the tropes in the story. Like someone said in the chat earlier, the magicians are kind of like the bad guys at the end of this entire trilogy. So it's one of those, I guess, if you like classic fantasy that doesn't feel like classic fantasy.
Yes.
I think that's what I would say to people to pick it up. And I definitely recommend it.
With strong female character that doesn't tick any of the strong female character boxes.
Right.
She's not just a reskinned
She's not strong.
dude.
She's still feminine.
Yeah. She's not a reskinned guy. It's not like, oh, look at this, she's so good. And also for people who like actual political intrigue, like not just like, oh, well, there's a king and a queen, there must be political intrigue in this book. No, like just because they're a king,
actual spy drama.
Yeah, like the political aspect and the I always like the mastermind versus mastermind, the political games stuff is great, and
that's what I knew you would like.
Yeah, plot points you don't actually expect. Like, especially from, I can't imagine. I wish I'd read this series in the 90s, like back when.
Oh my God, that would have
before there was anything even remotely like this. You know what I mean? Like, it would have been. I can't even imagine having read it back then.
It was amazing.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I if anybody likes this stuff, I strongly recommend. What about you?
I call it the best bridge from classic
Anitha?
to modern.
I agree. Josh put it well. Classic that doesn't feel like classic. Anitha?
What was the question?
How would you recommend it to people? I wouldn't. Okay, moving on. Anitha, don't worry, guys. Derri, it's not personal. Anitha hates everything she's reading right now.
I know. I don't know why we're friends.
I don't know when the last time she liked the book was. Like, that's in June.
Wait until tomorrow. How I'll tear your favorite book.
Evil for Evil was good. Anitha, did you like that less than the other one?
No, I like it. I'm just joking.
The worst. It's the worst. Anyway.
I'm just joking. Anyway,
Right.
See, okay, obviously don't ask me, but at the same time, I have the similar feeling like Mistborn. I liked so many aspects from Mistborn. Like Kelsier is one of my favorite characters, actually. But there is a lot of repetition in that book. I don't like that kind of writing. I'm very slow reader. I read multiple times to understand. If I don't know some meaning, I refer dictionaries. I read and read sometimes if I don't understand a sentence. So I spend a lot of time with each line. So when author repeats thing, I already did that homework. He doesn't need to tell me. So it turns me off. So that's my biggest problem with both of them. So having said that, yeah, definitely female character who isn't just a guy, she's feminine, as Derri nicely put it that way. And I really like that battle of wits.
Yeah.
And there is good battle scenes, especially in book 2, Kayoki's battle where he got hurt. And I like the intrigue with Cho-ja. And I like the ideas a lot in this book, that bringing the change, actually. Don't stuck in tradition. That part I really liked.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, you know how I sold it, because I sold it to you at the beginning, Alan. This is political intrigue with actual politics, and it's spies with actual spies and actual stakes. People die. People will be killed. There will be assassinations.
Yes, I do like that she's not afraid to kill a character in this.
Yeah, that it will be brutal. It will be bloody. There will be battles. There will be campaigns. There will be long-term plans as well as short-term plans, and it will cover a substantial period of time. And it's written in that very comfortable old-fashioned style, but with a mindset that's really modern. And that's why I call it that bridge, because it is, it's just the perfect balance for me of what we love about old fantasy and what we love about new fantasy. And I just love it. It's one of my favorites. So, and it's only 3 books. That's right, Sal. It is. It's only 3 books, you know, and a lot happens in those 3 books. We get a very full life with lots of events.
For sure. Well, thank you guys so much for reading it. You know, alongside, well, I mean, I was very slow, but I'm glad y'all doing talk about it. And this was, you do not, neither me nor Anitha had read it Rift War before Empire. I can see how you could enjoy it more if you had read Rift War, but we like to just
only in that some events aren't explained.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily need that backstory, but clearly you would be happier if you did.
But the record, I hate the epilogue.
Oh yeah, and maybe don't read the epilogue.
No, my name, Alan changed my name here.
You have no proof. You have no proof that was me. None. 0 proof.
Oh look, I owned being a Kevin apologist very early on. He was a product of his era. It was the 80s, and that was just what happened.
Indeed.
So
true.
Well, thank you guys so much. People in the chat, thank you guys so much. If you read it along with us, as you know, slow or fast we read it, we appreciate it. And this has been fun. I would have not picked up this series if not
I'm
for
glad you enjoyed it.
you know, your consistent recommendations. So it was. I mean, it's
a
just
nice way to say nag.
It's just like it's hard to go back and read classic fantasy sometimes because it just feels so slow. But this
can be worth it.
It was good. Well, anyway, I'm gonna end the stream here, guys, and thank you guys so much. And hopefully, if you haven't read it, you should go read it because it was quite good. So, all right. We'll talk to y'all later. Follow their channels. It's down in the description if you haven't.